goes. So much. Trust me.
You're listening to Meadows and Makers podcast.
With Jack Dub and making stuff. Peace.
Hello, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the time-space continuum. My name is Greg, and I am the host of this show. This is the Meadows and Makers podcast. It is a show where I like to bring on homesteaders and self-reliant people that are moving towards self-reliance and maker-type people that are creating things and building things. There's a show that's just some inspiration to all y'all out there to maybe take some action to move in these directions yourself. And it's a way that I think that we can all move forward, and something we can all agree on is, having some good food and, being able to take care of ourselves and our community, and all that stuff. Rondon's asking who's the guest this week. This week I am bringing on a farmer from Kentucky. It's Bowen Troyer. Some of you might be familiar with him. He does a series on D.tube that is 2 minutes with a farmer, where he gives you some 2-minute shows, he just kind of updates you on a bunch of different stuff he's got going on his farm. And so right now, he was only available to come on, he's available to come on around 1 p.m. after 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm working with him on getting him set up on here. So we're texting kind of back and forth here. So while he's doing that, while we're working that out, let me do my show disclaimer and everything like that. So the views and opinions that are expressed on this show are my own and those of my guests, and this show is for education and entertainment purposes only. Does not reflect on the MSP Waves crew and everybody that keeps this interactive social media broadcasting going. So if you guys have any comments, questions, feedback, anything like that, please direct them my way. And I will address them. But like I said, this show is for entertainment and education purposes only. And it should be used as such. So thank you all for being here. Shout out to everybody that's hanging out in the Discord right now. We got Breeze here. We got Peachy Mud. We got Rondon. Thank you guys for coming to hang out for the show today. So what else do I like to do? I like to do my show mantra up at the front. So my show mantra is, I will be an inextinguishable light of possibilities for myself and others. And that's just a little mantra that I keep in my heart, and something that I like to share with others so that you can kind of move forward in life and kind of hold something positive in your heart. So there you go. There we go. So, all right. So let me do, you guys introduced my guest, Bowen Troyer, and here he is. And so, hey, Bowen, how are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
You're coming in hot. It's sounding good. Sounding good, sir. How are you this fine day?
It is a good day here in central Kentucky. Sun's shining and the grass is growing, so I'm happy.
Most excellent, most excellent. So I really appreciate you having the time to come on the show today. And what I like to start off with people is if they're not familiar with you, if you maybe give a little bit of background on who you are and how you made it into the whole Steamiverse.
The Steam It world.
Yeah.
I'm just a farmer from central Kentucky. I think that's my title on my Steam It blog page.
Yeah.
I found out about Steam It. I think it's been like 18 months ago now from An American Homestead.
Okay.
I liked watching his videos on YouTube, and one day he said that he was making all this money on Steam It, and I was like, man, that sounds too good to be true. So I made an account up, and I think my first post made like 20 cents. And then my second post was about our family dairy cow, and it made, I think it was like 149 Steam dollars or something.
Yeah.
But that's when Steam was like $7. And so I cashed out like almost $700. And I was like, I'm hooked.
Yeah. Wow.
So ever since then, just been posting. I try to post a couple times a week. Just depends on how busy I am. But it's kind of become almost an addiction. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I haven't met a ton of people, but the people I have met are just quality people and true friendships, and just getting to know people from all over the world and making money while you do it. So you can't complain.
Absolutely. I found the same thing. It seems like a lot of people that I run into in the community are really positive people that are trying to do great things in the world, and really fun to hang around. So I've had a similar experience.
Yeah, I just think it's neat. Like, I was on Facebook, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, and it just seemed that was just getting more and more negative and just confrontational. And then Steam It has just been encouraging and uplifting and like-minded people just helping each other out. And I think that's just a neat business model they have going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So was that your first foray into cryptocurrency, or were you familiar with it before that point?
I had always made fun of people that invested in cryptocurrency. I was the Bitcoin hater, saying this is fake money, it's worthless, it can't be used for anything, it's just made up.
Yeah.
But ever since I've been in the Steam It world, I'm actually now a full-fledged on board with crypto. I invest in crypto. I listen to all kinds of crypto podcasts, and I think it's a new frontier to go explore.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting. So it was kind of your introduction into the whole realm of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, cool. So like you said, you're a farmer from Kentucky, but we talked a little bit the other day, and was asking you if that was something that your family did or anything like that. But how did you get your start farming?
Yeah, my family always lived out in the country growing up, and we grew up in northern Indiana, and we'd have 10, 15, 20 acres, the different places we moved to, and I always loved livestock and animals. We'd have chickens and geese and a cow and a horse, but nothing, not really a farm.
Okay.
But my neighbor up the road, about a mile, he had a big dairy farm, and my dad was a pastor, and he needed some extra income, so he started milking cows in the morning for my neighbor. But then my dad got too busy, and when I was 12, my neighbor's like, hey, you want to milk for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he paid me like $75 a milk shift. And
oh man,
that's
awesome for a 12-year-old. Yeah.
This is awesome. So I'd milk cows a couple times a week, and then come home, do school, and I loved being on his farm and around his cows. And so ever since then, I was like, someday I'm going to be a farmer and I'm going to have cattle.
Yeah.
But I never knew how it would work out, and went to college, got a degree in accounting, met my wife. We got married while I was a junior in college, and had no idea how I was going to support her, and Yahweh just kind of aligned everything, and I started working for the Air Force while I was still in college at an
Okay.
intern program, and then went full time with them after I graduated, and was an auditor for the Air Force for 9 years, and got to travel around the whole U.S., had a great time, and part of being there is we had to move a lot, and so I think we moved, I forget, I have to ask my wife for sure, it was either 8 or 9 times in my career with the Air Force.
Okay.
And every time we moved, we'd try to buy a cheap house, fix it up, and then we'd sell it.
Yeah.
So we were blessed and had a little nest egg, and our last place we were at was Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, and we just found the greatest small farm in Ohio. It was 66 acres, and it was, I don't know how we ever got it. It was just a miracle because it was so cheap, and had an old 1860s log cabin,
Wow.
farmhouse that had been added onto like 6 times. So we gutted it, redid it, and my last year with the Air Force, we knew we wanted to get out and farm somewhere. So we thought for sure we'd go to Missouri, and we spent weeks looking at farms in Missouri and never found anything that we could settle on. And my mom sent me an email and she said, "Hey, I found this farm in Kentucky." I was like, "I'm not moving to Kentucky. A bunch of hillbillies in Kentucky." But they lived in Arizona at the time. And they're like, "Mike, your dad and I were going to fly out. And we're going to meet you at this farm." So I'm like, "Well, okay." So they did. We met at the farm, and like the second we walked on it, we're like, "This is it." The main farm we bought was 290 acres, and it had a big creek that went all the way around it, and it was just rolling meadows. It was beautiful.
Wow.
So we sold our farm in Ohio and bought this, and my dad helped partner with us, and so now we're Back Hills Farm here in central Kentucky.
Wow. So did the property, it already had like a house and a barn on it and everything? It was kind of ready to go?
No, it had nothing. It had
Oh my gosh.
somewhat of a perimeter fence, but we
Uh-huh.
had to redo the whole thing, and had 2 old tobacco barns that neither one of them were worth anything.
Wow.
So the first year I stayed with the Air Force, and we had a contractor in town help build us a house,
Okay.
and then we got moved out, and then we built the barns, and then we spent about a whole year building barns and fence.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you guys do, how did you guys do the construction on the barns? Did you guys do like old school where you cut down the trees on the land and use those, or did you just buy the lumber and do post and beam construction or something like that?
With the one tobacco barn had a pretty good roof on it.
Uh-huh.
And so what we did was we stripped the siding off and just put on tin siding on it and built some lean-tos off of it.
Okay.
And so the guts of that one are still the old tobacco barn with just tin and lean-tos on the side.
That's amazing how those barns can stay up for so long.
Oh,
those
absolutely.
Old barns.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the old beam with pegs and everything in it. It's beautiful.
Wow. Timber frame construction.
Yep.
Wow.
And then we built a pole barn by the house. We just built that from scratch, just with bought lumber.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So you said you worked.
But,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the fencing we had a lot of black locust trees on the farm.
Oh.
And so all the interior fence is built with black locust wood posts.
Oh, no kidding, man.
So that was a lot of work, but it saved a lot of money.
Yeah, oh, no way. Yeah, so so my dad actually got me into planting some of those black locust trees on my property.
Oh, yeah.
And he said it's one of those trees where you can just cut the tops off of them and then they just keep on growing back, and
Absolutely.
you can get like regenerative wood for a long time.
Yeah. I've even had some wood posts. I've cut the post out, and
Uh-huh.
the next spring there'll be limbs and buds coming out of the post.
No
They're
way.
just stuck in the ground. Yeah.
Wow, those things are prolific.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, cool. That's amazing. So I'm glad I planted those.
Yeah. Yeah. They last forever. So yeah, you should be real
Wow.
happy in a few years.
Wow, great. Awesome. Yeah, they're growing really well. So you said that you worked for the Air Force. Were you a civilian or did you enlist?
I was not enlisted. The the agency I worked for is called the Air Force Audit Agency. So we were all Department of Defense employees.
So you guys are supposed to be like a third-party auditor or something like
Yes.
that?
Yep.
Okay.
And my station, I audited all Air Force stations. So I did a lot at Guard and reserve stations. And then usually the base you were stationed at was an active duty base, and you'd audit them as well.
Okay. You never had to go up to Fargo, did you?
No, I never got to Fargo. No.
I did a little bit of work with the Air National Guard in my last job, and I was up in Fargo in January, man. And being from Alabama, that was not too fun for me.
That was a shocker.
It was, yeah. Yeah. So you guys started off with like from zero then on the farm, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In Ohio, we started our herds. We had 30 goats and about 20 head of cattle in Ohio. And that was kind of our base that we built from when we moved here.
Okay. Now goats, are those pretty good livestock to keep? They do a lot of work for you, I guess.
The goats are like, I don't know why everybody in the U.S. doesn't raise goats.
Okay.
Other than they can be tricky to keep alive as far as the parasites, and they get sick fairly easy. Okay. But for the investment, there's no better return on your money that I found in any kind of agriculture than goats.
Wow. Okay.
And so I just like here around Kentucky, everybody makes fun of me because I have the biggest goat herd in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And they're like, goats are stupid. They're dumb. I was like, no, they're not. They're actually really smart. And if you keep them happy, they never want to leave. They like being in a pen. And it's the number one red meat eaten in the world.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The only people that don't eat it are Americans.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds. I just stick an ad on Craigslist, and I can sell every goat within 2 days. The market is just incredible.
Wow. I didn't know that. And they're pretty versatile, huh, for any kind of land.
Yeah, and what's really neat, what we've been able to see over the years on our farm is when we bought the place, there was thorn trees, hedge apples, black locust trees growing everywhere. They were about chest high, and we could either bush hog them down or the goats just devour them.
Yeah.
And the goats would rather eat anything but grass and clover. They'll eat grass and clover if they have to.
Okay.
But they would much rather eat a dandelion weed or a rose bush or tree leaves, any ironweed. And the cattle love the grass and clover. So when you combine both of them,
you get a really vibrant pasture.
Yeah, the ecosystem starts thriving, and you no longer have to use as much diesel fuel, bush hog and stuff, and you can make a lot more money. So
cool,
it was a win-win for us.
Cool, man. Like, so Breeze just asked, are they mainly meat goats or milk goats?
Ours are all meat goats. We found that the Kiko breed of goat, which originated in New Zealand, and they imported them back in the 90s. I've found that that's been the most hardy breed of goat for us. And it's been about a 10-year experiment with goats. Okay. And I finally got my herd where I only have to bring them in, which was Thursday. We did our goat work day. So once a year, I bring all the goats in, trim their feet if they need it, worm them if they need it, which now we're getting to the point where not many of them need their feet trimmed, and most of them don't really need to be wormed anymore. So they're just kind of, I call them my feral goats. They just wander around, and once a year I bring them in and make money off of them.
Wow. So they kind of, do you do any kind of where you move the continuous grazing kind of thing, where you're moving their paddock shifting, or I guess that's what they call it?
Yeah.
With the goats?
We do, our whole farm is intensively grazed, management intensively grazed.
Okay.
It's divided into, all together, there's about 17 paddocks. And so we'll move the goats. The goats we move probably about once every 2 to 3 weeks to a different pen. and you just have to open the gate and start yelling. I just say, come girls, and they know they get to go to better pasture, so they just all come in a line and run through the gate to the new pasture.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I watched a video just last night. It was Justin Rhoades, I'm a big fan of, on YouTube, and he went to go get some sheep, and he went to go buy them from Judy, and he was talking about how the parasites actually live in the bottom part of the grass. So he was talking about the paddock shifting and how that's beneficial because it keeps the sheep from eating down too far in the grass and getting parasites. And so is it similar? I guess it's similar with goats, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And what's really cool is the parasites the goats get and the cattle get. So if the cattle come in, I try to usually graze the cattle after the goats. And if the goats eat those eggs or the parasites on the lower branches, they're actually a terminal host for the parasites. So they'll ingest them and kill the parasites that affect the goats. And then the goats do the same for the parasites that affect the cattle.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's the big thing that Joel Salitin preaches is having those different animals, because each one is each one can eliminate parasites for the other one. Like
yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, that's really cool, because like it seems like it's all kind of designed, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think humans have messed it up more than anything. If we just stick with kind of just mimic nature, what it does, and it seems to be pretty successful.
Okay. Hey, so Rondon just commented that you should add the PalNet tag in your posts.
PalNet tag. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I can try that.
Yeah. So also throw it in your posts here, and then you can earn some banjo tokens. So if you look on your Steam engine, some of these, if somebody votes with an emoji on your post, you get some banjo tokens. So
okay, cool.
Check your Steam engine account too. You might have some banjo tokens in there.
Okay. I'll check that.
Okay, so yeah, that was so you have quite a herd of goats. You said we were talking earlier. You said you got about like 200 goats or so.
Yeah. Yep. Right now, if we count the moms and the babies, we're about at 216 as of Thursday.
Wow, that's incredible. So
yeah.
So they're not too hard to maintain then, huh? You just they respond to moving the grass, and they're pretty smart. They learn your calls and everything.
Oh yeah. And starting out, like when we first bought goats, we thought we'd be like, I wanted to have a herd instantly, so I bought a semi-trailer load of goats from Montana.
Oh wow!
Which was the dumbest, costliest mistake I ever made.
Oh,
they were beautiful goats, but within 3 weeks, about a third of them were dead.
Oh, wow.
And then now, that was 5 years ago, now I only have 12 of those Montana goats left alive.
Because they're just not adapted to that environment or something.
Absolutely. It was the arid, dry climate out in Montana. The parasites were different out there. And when they got to Kentucky, they just fell apart.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it's not, learn from my mistakes.
Right.
It'll be easier, but no, it's not like I haven't made a bunch of mistakes with them, but I'm finally to the point now.
Try to find goats from a local breeder if you're going to do them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And a breeder a neat story is I have a neighbor who started a herd of goats, he bought 25 of mine 6 years ago. And that was his base foundation. But his wife loves them a lot. And so they keep them in the barn in the winter, and they feed them grain every day, hay, and they're like pets more than anything. And so he has some beautiful billies. So the last 2 years I've tried to get one of his billies and put it with my does, but they're not used to. My goats stay outside year round, don't have any supplements. They can get some salt and mineral, but they fall apart. So if you're going to buy goats, just make sure you're buying them from somebody who's going to raise them the way you want to raise them.
Right. Yeah. Right. So are your goats all grass fed? They just eat the grass on the pasture? And
Yep, absolutely.
and that kind of comes into this question that I got from Solo Miner in the audience. He asked, how many acres do you have for that many goats?
Yeah, we have our whole farm altogether is 448 acres.
Okay.
And in order to utilize all the pasture for goats, I probably need around 700 head.
Okay.
Because as right now, the goats can't keep up with the weeds on the whole farm. So we just keep them in about a third of the farm, eating everything down. Then I have to bush hog the rest. So eventually I'd love to get up to about 700 head of goats.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow. So there's a big demand for those guys then, huh? It's growing. People are getting more on board with the whole goat raising thing.
Yeah, absolutely. They're right around us every month. There's 2 cattle sale barns that have a special USDA inspected goat sale.
Okay.
And when we first started, you'd see maybe 10 to 20 goats at each sale. And now there's starting to be a couple hundred at every sale.
Yeah.
And any big city you're around, like in Lexington, we're close to Lexington, Kentucky, and we'll get people driving out from Lexington wanting 1 or 2 goats for a feast or a holiday that they celebrate.
Yeah.
And so it works out. You can always make a little more if you just sell them right off the farm.
Yeah. So I know being an entrepreneur as a farmer is can be a little difficult. Do you guys do like extra things on your farm to, like have farm tours or things like that to bring people out and see how your goats are raised and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we have we homeschool our kids, and so like every year we do homeschool groups come out and tour the farm and look at it. And we
neat.
also raise registered South Pole cattle. We only have about 20 of them, but that's what Judy raises those as well.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of a grass-fed. It's a real good grass-fed breed.
Okay.
And so we have a lot of people. We're the only herd in the state of Kentucky. And so a lot of people, we've had the University of UK come out and look at our herd, things like that. But so far, we've never charged for any farm tour activities.
Okay.
I just think for us, it's just better most kids have never even really seen a cow up close in real life or petted a goat.
Right.
And so it's just neat to see people come and interact with a farm and livestock.
Yeah. And with your videos, you're bringing people on your farm every day almost.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that's great. So, I know you are kind of a jack of all trades, it seems, from your videos. You do a little building a custom furniture on the side. And where do you get all your materials for that? Is it all just old barnwood, or you just find it here and there?
Yeah. My wife that last year had been begging for a bookshelf for our bedroom, and I was like, I don't know how to make anything. I'm not going to make you a bookshelf. And then she threatened to go buy one. It was like $300. I'm like, there's no way I'm letting you buy a bookshelf. So I said, I'm going to go make one. Yeah. So about a year ago, we have an old tobacco barn that's kind of half fallen in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to pull off some siding and cut a beam out and make her a bookshelf.
Uh-huh.
And so I did. And she's like, this is beautiful. You need to start selling these. And so we did. We just started I make coffee tables, end tables, bookshelves. I made some beds. I made one kitchen table. And people really like the rustic look. It's all just 100% recycled barnwood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it's kind of turning into, I could sell a lot more if I had more time.
Yeah.
But this winter I plan on trying to get some inventory accumulated.
Yeah, my buddy Robbie, he's pretty close to me, and he just him and his buddy went in on a sawmill together.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and he's seen the demand for that service around, and what he's figuring out is that people are really looking for finished pieces of furniture and stuff made out of the wood, and a few people are looking for the materials, but people just aren't as hands-on, I guess, anymore. And so there is a big demand, is what he found, was for pieces of furniture. So
Yeah, I believe it.
handmade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
My
that's
wife's
awesome.
slogan for our furniture is furniture you can hide behind in a gunfight, because
That's great.
most of it's solid oak. And it just weighs a ton.
Yeah, yeah, but it ain't going nowhere.
No, it ain't going nowhere.
That's awesome. That's great, man. So you have that all that property. Are you using all of that land, or is it some of it's just like some forest that you manage or something like that, or how
Yeah,
how
there's about
how do you keep up with all that land? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
it's not easy. My
Yeah.
dad, he retired and he was living in Arizona and Florida, and we got him and my mom to build a house up on the farm.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
so last November they moved up here, and that's been I don't work him to death, but
Yeah.
like an hour a day, but
Yeah.
just having an extra set of hands to help do stuff has been just a major blessing.
Oh my gosh,
And
yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
then I have two boys. They're not quite big enough to do a lot, but they're getting there.
Yeah.
But the land, we try to utilize it, everything, because this is how we make a living. So, like, we're getting geared up for walnut season.
Okay.
We have a bunch of walnut trees, and last year we harvested 11,000 pounds of shelled walnuts.
Wow.
And then there's a processor up the road, and we sell them to him. And so we do things like that. There's about 50 acres of woods on the farm that's fenced out. And we try to keep that for wildlife and collecting walnuts and things like that. So we try to utilize everything the best we can. But as far as the livestock go, they're on about 400 acres. And then we have about around almost 50 fenced out.
Oh wow, that's interesting. So is everything that is mostly everything that black locust fencing, or are you using some electric fencing and stuff in there?
The perimeter is all woven wire, and then the interior is 6 strands of hot wire
Okay.
that divide up the paddocks, and that's where we use a black locust post for bracing and all our corner posts and our line posts and stuff.
Okay. That's awesome. So talking about the walnuts in your woods, I saw that you guys are doing some foraging. So is that kind of what got you into doing the wild foraging?
Pretty much, we're here and looking around at what's available. And so, in the summer and spring, we collect wild onions in the spring. And then the summertime, we have a ton of raspberry bushes. We collect those.
Okay.
And then the walnuts are available, so we just utilize them. The pawpaws, we have a bunch of pawpaw trees, it's like a mixture between a kiwi and a banana, and it's delicious. And we'll be harvesting those.
Yeah.
They're almost right.
Yeah, isn't that like a passion fruit kind of thing?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
My wife doesn't like it, but I love them. And then you can sell those by the pound as well.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, just kind of, we're learning as we go, but just utilizing everything that's available is the goal.
Yeah, we have them. They grow wild here in Alabama, and my folks got some on their property, but they used to be like it's like a jelly almost inside the fruit.
Yeah.
With the seeds, and
Yep.
and I picked some this year. How do you tell when those things get ripe? Because like I picked some and it was all dry on the inside.
Yeah, you got to watch them. They're real hard until, like, once they get ripe, they'll just be just a little squishy, not just more tender than anything. And that's when you want to harvest them. But as soon as you take them off the tree, we found they only stay good for a couple days, and then they'll rot out real fast.
Ah, okay.
So you got to kind of utilize them. My wife, she's made some jams with them and some bread, and then the kids love them, so we just eat them raw.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good raw. Yeah, they make this really beautiful flour.
Yeah.
I have it on my phone somewhere. I'll drop it in the Discord if I can here in a second. So So yeah, you've been doing the kind of like the methods of some of the people that I follow, like Joel Salitin and some of those guys. So I was going to ask, if, who you get your inspiration from on the farm.
Yeah,
Do
when
you
I was
draw from some of those guys?
Oh, absolutely. I have every book Joel Salton's ever wrote. Judy, all his books and his videos. And then there's a guy, he used to be in Missouri, now he's in Idaho, Jim Gerrish.
Okay.
He's a big cattle grazer. And yeah, what I found is they have amazing ideas, but they don't always work in the environment you're in.
Yeah.
But their general ideas are amazing. And so that's kind of what we've kind of had to model it to fit our hilly Kentucky farm. But yes, those guys, Jim Gerrish and Judy, they were pretty much the models we used to get our farm going.
Okay. I haven't heard of Jim Gerrish yet, so that's a new one for me.
Yep.
To go check out. So
yeah, he wrote a book called Kicking the Hay Habit.
Okay.
Which is, if you raise cattle, it's really good.
So he talks about just trying to keep them mostly on fresh grass and stuff like that.
Yeah, and stockpiling. Judy talks about it a lot too, but being able to stockpile your grasses in the late summer, so you can graze through the winter time with them. And we're a lot more successful than farmers around us. Generally, here in Kentucky, the end of October, the 1st of November, people start feeding hay. And our best year, we were able to go into February before we had to feed any hay. And so it's
wow.
Which when you raise cattle, the biggest expense for a cow is their winter feed. And so if we can cut out a month or 2 months of that really helps the bottom line.
Yeah. So another thing that I've been learning is the animals that feed on grass. There's a component in the grass that is vitamin B17, and that is a very beneficial vitamin for your health. And they've seen in cultures that eat a heavy diet of vitamin B17 that it is almost no incidences of cancer in the population.
Yeah, I've heard very similar things too.
So it's a definitely, I guess, the grass fed they're picking up that vitamin in their meat. So it's a lot of the industrially raised animals are not getting that vitamin in them, and then it's not as healthy for you to eat that industrialized food.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to get on my soapbox about grass-fed stuff. I believe that's all I'll feed my family is grass-fed. We raise our own meat chickens, and we eat some goat and mostly just beef. But the biggest shame from our amazing American government is it's illegal for me to sell any of my beef to anybody unless it's gone through a USDA inspected processing plant.
Yeah, the U.S.
Yeah. And so we tried that when we first moved here because, I'm creating this amazing product, and everybody who tastes our beef is like, this is the best beef in the world. Yeah, it is. And it's healthy for you. It's good for you. But the cost for me to take 1 or 2 head of cattle to a USDA processor, get them processed, get them packaged, pick them up, bring them back, and try to sell them retail, is nobody wants to pay what I'd have to charge to make it worth my while. Okay. Around here at least. So that's just been so frustrating because my dad, when he built his barn, built a butchering facility in his barn. And so it's cleaner than any state inspected processing plant. And so we process all our own meat, but what I just can't stand is I can't sell it to anybody. So
man, that is aggravating. So one of the interesting things that Joel Salitin was talking about in I guess it was one of his videos was that he does you could buy a share in the cow, at least for the raw milk purposes or whatever.
Yeah.
So I found that very cool, a neat way of getting around all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we've thought about that, but there was an Amish guy in Kentucky, a couple counties over. He actually got arrested for it, and he's sitting in jail right now for.
Jeez.
So I was like, it's not worth it.
Man, yeah, that is the most aggravating thing is looking into food and how people that are trying to do the right thing and the best thing that they think of are getting shut down, and it's just
absolutely
that's such an aggravating thing in showing you what's going on with the current state of how things are running in the U.S.
Yeah, everything's stacked against the small farmer. I mean, it's sad to say, but it's 100% the truth.
Well, that's why I kind of like I really love the message of Joel Salitin, and what he talks about is just to find look for the inventive ways of creative ways of getting around the legal stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Then he wrote that book, Everything I Do Is Illegal.
Yes.
You read that one? Yeah.
I haven't read that one yet, but I love that because it's true. It's so true, man. It's just it's really come down to you really got to do what's best for you and your family, and then I think the biggest thing that in what you're doing is that is that you're educating people on a different way of living too. Yeah. So really it's kind of all of our own responsibility to try to live the healthiest that we can, and kind of spread that around and spread that abundance to our local communities as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's kind of leads me into another thing about your family is that you said you were homeschooled. Now, do you do that with also with your children?
Yes. Yep. We've got 3 kids. My oldest is in 5th grade now, and then we have my middle son's 3rd grade and my daughter's 1st grade. And my wife, cool. I'm more of the principal of the school system, and my wife is the everyday teacher. Yeah. She has a lot more patience, and she's a gifted teacher, so it helps a lot.
Oh, that's great. So do you guys kind of try to follow some kind of curriculum, or do you guys kind of do the unschooling thing where you just kind of do the self-directed learning kind of stuff?
We follow a curriculum, but it's not it's called Homeschooling Torah, and so it's all biblically based schooling. So all the assignments, I was helping my son, one of them was how many sons did Abraham have? And so he has to go in his Bible and look up and find how many sons he had, and that kind of stuff. So the math problems and the English problems, it all revolves around the Bible. So we just started teaching that one 2 years ago. And
so every day is a Bible study.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow, that's incredible. So they really be able to learn their Bible really well. That's
the goal. Yep.
Neat. So
yes.
So do you find that the kids because a lot of people are how are your kids gonna learn to read and write? Kids want to learn that on their own, don't they?
Yeah. We found that we do the California Standard Achievement Test every year.
Yeah.
Just for our own benefit. The state of Kentucky doesn't require it. But so last year, my 4th grader had 9th and 10th grade reading and math skills. He was scoring off the charts.
Wow.
And I don't think, I'll get on my homeschool soapbox, that kids were made to go sit in a room for 8 hours a day.
Oh, man, I'm totally in agreement with you on that.
Yeah, so part of the schooling is, we're going to go check cattle, and then we talk about the grasses and in the springtime, the seed heads coming out and how we can improve the soils and improve. So we say our kids are in school all day long and most of the night too, learning things and being outside and helping, working, things like that. They do have their normal school subjects they have to do, but we just
Right.
feel like we can teach them so much better here on the farm, or even if you don't live on a farm, just as the parent, you know how your kid learns, you know how they're going to respond. And I think it's just torture to make a kid sit still for that long. So
Yeah. And they've done studies and stuff to show that the kids actually do a lot better when they play.
yeah,
And play is learning because you're learning all those social dynamic skills, and there's a lot more involved in play than just playing.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as a parent, you just kind of learn just to be intentional about things. And when you're outside, hey, this is a teachable moment. Let's use it. And there's just so many. Once you start thinking that mindset, how can I teach my kids and everything? It just kind of opens up the world, and there's so much for them to learn, just wherever you are.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I like when I'd like to have kids in the future, and that's what I would be teaching them is like, if how to build structures, how to grow food,
Yeah,
how to find, and filter water, and then reading
yeah,
and writing and science, and how to do the scientific method and all that. And then, you have a resilient human being, that
absolutely.
they don't necessarily, that it's not regurgitating information. It's actually, how do I solve a problem?
Yes, I think
I
that's
think.
that's huge.
Yeah, yeah. So Breeze talks about it too. She says, Breeze, that's here. She's a farmer in South Africa, and her
Okay.
and her daughter was raised on the farm, and she said she's not worried about her, not being able to take care of herself because she learned all this stuff with growing up on the farm, so she'll be
Yeah,
able to at least take care of herself.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me, the most important thing I can teach my kids is a work ethic. Like my dad did a great job with me teaching me how to work, and there's just amazing how many people, even adults, have no idea how to work, get something done, and stay on it and accomplish something. And so I think that if we can teach our kids just that piece, how much better would our society be if everybody knew how to work?
Yeah, or just actually get a project started and then follow it through its
Yes.
fruition. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a little bit of a problem that I have. Is I like to start about 1,000 projects, and then sometimes, I might not. It takes me a while to get that one finished, but I'm working on that on myself. Is just to stick with that one project to get that done first, and then go move to the next one. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I was not raised with that work ethic per se. So
You're teaching yourself though. That's
I'm
important.
working on it. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So talking about family. So do you have? You said your folks are now on the land with you. Are they loving it as much as you, or does other family love it as much as you? You get some
My kid.
visitors.
Oh yeah, people. My in-laws, they live in Illinois, and especially my father-in-law. He tries to come out at least once a month and spend 5 or 6 days here. We have a small apartment in that pole barn we built,
Okay.
and so we usually have, on average, at least 1 to 2 visitors a month come in and staying in our apartment and fellowshipping with us and just being around our family.
Oh
And
man, that's awesome.
yeah, and my parents, my mom loved being here. She loves the weather here, the four seasons, and loves being out in the country and loves being around her grandkids. And Dad,
Yeah.
he likes working, and he's got a lot of ideas. So he's been real good too.
Oh man, yeah. Me and my dad's got what I kind of figured out where I get it from and all these projects is that my dad's got about 1,000 ideas, but sometimes they don't really get done. It's just a lot of ideas.
Yep.
So, but we got some amazing ideas. So I think that's part of like finding the right person to mesh with too. Is like somebody has to kind of ground you a little bit on stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. talking about the farm, I saw that you did some posts about taking a trip to Hawaii. Now, how do you go and do that if you're running a farm?
That story is amazing. I'll give you the short version. Like,
Yeah.
my wife's dream has always been to go to Hawaii,
Uh-huh.
and I mean, financially and just taking the time to go do it was never an option. And we started talking to one of her old high school friends, and he was a missionary in Japan. And we started chatting with him, and he's like, "Hey, you guys ever want to go to Hawaii?" And we're like, "Absolutely." And he said, "Well, if you can just get there, I've got friends that have a condo on the beach and then a condo up in the mountains, and you can just use them, and they'll give you a car." And we're like, "What?
Wow.
This isn't for real." And he was like, "Yeah, just get there." So we had no idea what it was going to be like. So we waited until my wife found an amazing deal on airline tickets. And then we waited till after our spring calving season and goats were all done kidding. So it was kind of a week or two lull. So we went off to Hawaii, and we had no idea what the condos were like. They were just beautiful. And we had this car. We drove around the whole island a couple times, going on tours. It was a great once in a lifetime trip.
Wow, that is incredible, man. So what part of Hawaii did you guys get to go to? Were you guys on the main island?
Yeah, the Big Island. Yep.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yep. And we went about everywhere you could go on the Big Island.
Nice.
Nonstop. It was nice.
Nice. So did you guys have to get a farm sitter, or were you able to kind of just have your system set up and walk away for a couple weeks?
We had everything. Like, I moved the cattle to big enough paddocks that they didn't need to be moved, and the goats, and they had plenty of grass. And then my dad, being here, our farms, we got the main farm, and then up the road a mile, there's 100 acres where my dad's at.
Okay.
And so he just came to the main farm every day, checked over, took care of the kids and the farm.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yep.
So what was your favorite part about being in Hawaii? Did you have a favorite thing that you saw or did while you were there?
Probably the coolest thing we liked on this very southern point of Hawaii, the Big Island, there's this, I forget the Hawaiian name for it, but it was a green sand beach. And you had to walk 3 miles to get back to it. And then there's just like this lagoon. And you had to climb down this cliff. And then it was just emerald green sand. And we were the first people to get there during the day.
Yeah.
And so we spent like 3 hours there. And then finally another couple came. But we just sat there. And it was so peaceful and it's like something out of a movie. It's just so beautiful.
Wow.
So that was the highlight for me.
So do you know what was the name of that? Does it have a name for that particular place?
It has a Hawaiian name. I forget. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you guys got to enjoy that once in a lifetime. Or I guess you got some friends out there, so maybe you can return.
Yeah, maybe we can try to get.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. It's good to have friends in all kinds of places.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. Here I got working through all these some of these questions here, but are there any projects that you guys are working on in the future for with the channel? Like I love that you guys did you're doing the 2 minutes with a farmer. That's a really great concept for for these videos, and great little compact videos sharing what you guys got going on out there.
Thanks. Yeah, I think as of right now, I think we'll just keep doing 2 minutes with the farmer. My son, he's been begging to start his own Steam It channel. And so we're throwing around that idea. He wants to do, what was it? He had a name, 3 minutes with the farmer's son or something. It's his idea.
The extended version.
Yep. So mostly though, I think we'll just stick with kind of what we're doing for now. I don't have any plans on expanding or anything.
Okay.
at the moment. Yep.
Okay. What kind of what kind of video equipment are you using? You just using a phone, or you got some
Yeah.
camera equipment?
Nope, I just have my iPhone.
Wow. Neat.
Yep.
Wow. So
Yeah, I'd love to.
are you doing everything through the iPhone, editing and
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah, I use the iMovie app to edit and then post just from the iPhone right onto D.tube.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of creators do that. Freedom Point is doing everything through
Yeah.
his phone too.
Yep. Yeah, and Freedom Point, the Yeti, shout out to him. He's awesome.
Yeah, man.
They were our first Steamians that we ever met in real life.
Yeah, they came and said hi to you guys, huh?
Yep, that was awesome. Yep,
On
that was a
their
great family.
on their journey through the states.
Yep.
Yeah, I had him on a while back, and yeah, it's wild that they just kind of moved and went all over the place. So
Yeah,
so
that was
you guys
that
actually
sounded like
got
a crazy adventure.
It was, man. It's they picked up and just took off. So that's awesome. So that's got to be great for your kids too. For do you get to pay them as well for helping out with chores and stuff on the farm?
Oh yeah, yep. My son, my goal is to try to like teach him the business side of things more so than just like, hey, here's $5 helping.
Yeah.
So we try to incentivize them to have a little enterprise. So my oldest son, he bought laying hens. So we built him a coop for him, and he sells farm fresh eggs.
Oh,
and so
nice.
he's got his notebook, and he sells them for $3 a dozen. So he's adding up what his gross profit, and then we make him take out all his expenses, and then this is the net. This is what you made this month on your chickens. And what can you do next month to be better? He's like, well, we don't need to buy feed. Well, let's think about that. If you don't buy feed, you're not going to lay the eggs. And so, like, that's part of our homeschooling process, too, is like, okay, start a business, figure it out. I mean, we don't let all the chickens die, but we help make sure he's feeding, watering them, and taking care of them. But, like, so he's learned a ton from his chickens. And so my middle son now, he's convinced that he's going to get hedgehogs and breed them and sell hedgehogs.
Oh, wow.
And so we try to, so yesterday we were in Lexington, so we went to PetSmart and looked at all the stuff he'd have to buy to start breeding hedgehogs and how much a hedgehog costs. And
so doing the research.
Yeah, so I'm going to make him put together a little business plan, see if it's going to work. And so we try to do those kind of things. But like Thursday, goat day, and they were out there all day with me working goats, and we pay them then for their labor.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. So you let each kid kind of like figure out their little enterprise that they're interested in doing?
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. My oldest son, ever since he was young, he always wanted chicken. And so that was like, as soon as he was old enough to be responsible enough to take care of them, we let him run after the chickens.
Oh, cool. So do you guys free range the chickens, or
they're not? They probably have about a half acre. It's all fenced in. We have a real big problems with hawks and fox and possums.
Yeah,
so
I see
we did try to free range.
I see your little post here. It says when predators attack.
Yeah.
I've learned that the hard way myself with chickens, is that everything likes to eat chicken.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, they're not cooped up. They have runs. We let them in, and we kind of rotationally graze them too through that quarter or half acre. But it's all covered, fenced in, so we can try to help his bottom line. He doesn't have to keep buying chickens.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you guys advertise that? Do you guys just have a sign out as kind of word of mouth kind of thing, or
pretty much just word of mouth? Our neighbors, and then people in town that we know, just from the homeschool co-op we're a part of.
Okay.
So he's a pretty good salesman. It's hard to say no to a little boy asking to sell some eggs.
Oh man, does he upsell people? He's like, oh well, maybe you want some of this.
He's gotten a lot of tips. He thinks that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Somebody gives him. like $10 for a dozen eggs. He's like, Dad, you just gave me $10.
Oh man, you got a future salesman going there too.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. That's something that I've never really done myself, but it started to do some solar panel. I started getting into solar power and doing some local solar panel sales, and
Oh, that's cool.
Figured out how bad I am at selling people stuff. It is definitely a skill that you have to learn.
That's cool. So I've always wanted to do solar.
Yeah.
So since you're the expert, how long does it take to recoup the cost of the initial investment?
So for probably depending on your electricity rates in your area, and a lot of people, if they are deciding whether or not they have like an outbuilding or something like that, and then they have to trench and run power to it and all that stuff, they use that cost as kind of a weight to figure out, I can either pay the utility company to go and do all the trenching and all that stuff myself to get your power hooked up, and then that trade-off makes more economic sense. But so you can get like depending on your utility costs, you can get, in what you're trying to do energy wise is some of these some off-grid folks are getting 5-year ROIs on their solar systems, and the cost is continuing to come down with the panels, and especially if you're buying panels in bulk. And so you can get your panels, you can sell part of them to do your project, and that's how I got started.
Okay.
And so it was, I wanted to do this solar trailer, and so I went in with a buddy. We bought a panel of we bought a pallet of like 26 panels. They usually sell you a pallet in like 20 or up to like 26 panels for a pallet, and we were able to get them for like 61 cents a watt for these. 72 cell larger panels. They're like 330 watt panels, and they're probably like 50 pounds a piece, so these things are pretty heavy to go lug around. But yeah, that's like the way to, in my opinion, that's the way to do it if you're going to do a project. And then you can piece together your components over time and make it cheaper that way, a little cheaper that way. And that's how I did it anyway. But for me, it's more about this, having the ability to produce power and to be able to have it in an emergency. And then I'm also off grid, and so I have it for that sense of preparedness kind of aspect. And so if you're looking at it as like, I don't want to be dependent on the grid, then the economics aren't as much of an issue for you. But on my little system, I think I spent outfitting the entire trailer is close to $14,000 for a 1.98 kilowatts of solar, and then I have a 10 kilowatt hour battery bank. And then I also have a EMP hardened smart it's a smart charge controller and inverter system. So it's I went a little overboard on that, but
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, but it's able to integrate with you could plug it into a transfer switch for your house, and you could power some circuits in your house on it. So
nice.
So that's why I chose that, and it's mobile, so I can take it as like an emergency response thing. It's kind of a prototype for a business that I want to get started and get into.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm kind of my journey that I'm on, going off grid is kind of a demonstration of it. So. So it's a thing that I think that moving into the future, if people are more resilient in that way, not dependent on these external systems, then people can live the life they wish to live, just like just like you're living. I mean,
Yeah.
You're a great example of how to start, be self-reliant, more self-reliant.
Yeah. That's cool.
So yeah, so that's what I would say as far as the economics of the thing. It's going to depend on on where you are, your utility rates and things like that. But it's coming down. The prices are coming down. The wholesaler that I bought some panels from, I think I saw some on there that were like 31 cents a watt if you're going to do used panels. And there's nothing wrong with used panels if they test out electrically and everything. They may have been on one install, and then I think a lot of what's going on is some of these government installations, they've set up all these solar panel fields, and then they go defunct or something like that, and they take them all down, and so there's a whole market for selling these panels that may have had 1 year of service or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, the cost for the panels has come down drastically, and so it is something definitely to look at, and for a lot of people, I kind of, my ethos is just like, get started with it and get a couple of panels and start building your own little small system and just have it like run a freezer or something like that.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like see if you want to do something more. And you can always go and add on to the system as the future goes. So
That sounds cool. Yeah, I've always been so interested in solar. But the most solar we have here, my son and I, we put a solar light, a little solar panel and a light in the chicken coop.
yeah.
So in the winter, they keep laying eggs.
Yeah, you can like have a total chicken automation system
There you
going
go.
on, man. I saw somebody's YouTube video where they had it all they had everything feeding on timers and automated door open and close and stuff, and they had it all automated, man. So
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, yeah, man, if you ever have any questions about that, feel free to DM me anytime about that.
Okay.
And I'll for sure help you out. I know I was looking at Breeze was looking to do something out where she is in Africa, but the problem with Africa is it's hard to get stuff shipped out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so... Well, talking about other countries, I see that you guys have a post, Kentucky Down Under, and you got a bunch of kangaroos hanging around you.
Yep. My mom found this place. It's more in the central part of Kentucky, and it's a part of the Mammoth Cave system. And this guy, he just decided to start almost like a little zoo, but it's mostly just Australian animals.
Okay.
And so we took the kids there for a field trip about a month or two ago, and it was really cool. Like, you're just walking with all these kangaroos, petting them. They had emus running around.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was good for the kids to experience a little down under life.
Those kangaroos look pretty lazy.
Yeah, they didn't want to come out in the sun. They just hung out. But you could go pet them and feed them. It was really...
Oh man, that's awesome. That's cool. So, so with the goats is the main thing is it just selling the goats, raising them, breeding them, and selling them to other people, or is it actually processing them and selling the meat and stuff? Are you guys doing a little bit of both?
For the most part, so far we've been able to sell all of our females, the doelings, for breeding stock. Every year, and then we sell quite a few billies for breeding as well, and then the others, the last 2 years, there's a gentleman in West Virginia that has a processing plant, and he likes to buy them off the farm, and so he's come to our farm, and he'll buy some of our wethers. We castrate them, the wethers, and then he processes them, and then has a cold truck. And he drives them to New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C., and sells them out of the back of his truck.
Oh, wow.
And so he doesn't need all our supply, and so we'd like to sell them to him because he pays a little more. And so we're hoping over the years to get more of his market.
Yeah. So do like chefs, are they starting to use some more of the goat meat in things? Like, are you seeing any of that happening?
Very little. Like there was a local restaurant in town that tried to process and sell some goat
Uh-huh.
dishes, but from at least here in central Kentucky, most people won't eat it.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a psychological thing, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
And
so
so,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just saying, in the bigger cities you get to, I think it's becoming more popular, but yeah, not where we are yet.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a buddy of mine that's a family friend that we grew up with, and I grew up around, and he just started his first. Well, he's starting a venture with these Australian white sheep,
Okay.
and they're like the Wagyu beef of sheep, is what they,
Oh,
I
nice.
guess, is what they're saying. And so he just did a local event where he brought in like some chef to cook it and all this kind of stuff. And they're trying, since it's like he can't like ship the sheep over to the U.S., they're having to do this like artificial insemination with the bringing in like the cryo eggs, I guess,
Yeah.
and inseminate like one of their sheep with them. And so they're trying to work out that whole process. But he said it's been like a huge headache for him doing that. But they had that event, and it was real successful. And they just threw this little event and had some chef cook up their thing, and they're getting that whole enterprise started. So it'll be interesting.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's what was it? Australian White USA, I think, is what the name of his thing, his little venture is going to be.
Okay.
But they said it'll be the first, kind of the first one of its kind here in the U.S.
Neat.
Yeah,
Is that a website he's got going, or?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Have to
think
look it
so.
up.
Yeah, let me see if I can look that up. But speaking of advertisements and things like that, there's a neat thing that's going on here on MSP Waves is that they're doing auctions for ads that you want to get on MSP Waves. So
Okay.
so Rondon just told me about that, and so I put that up there. So if anybody wants to get out there and put their ad up, then that's a neat thing that they got going on here
That's
recently. Cool. Let's see what else are you're into the different cryptocurrencies. Are there any of them that you're looking at right now? Other than of course you're on Steam, and are you interacting with any of these new tokens on Steam?
I have not yet. Other than the D.tube token,
Yeah,
just from earning it from posting on D.tube.
yeah.
But I'm not quite sure. I don't think that it's gone active yet. So it'll be interesting to see how D.tube does with it.
Yeah, it is. That is really interesting. I know some of the other guys, some of the other people I brought on the show on the podcast. They're doing their YouTube video or D.tube videos, and all of a sudden the changes came with D.tube, and they're like, "Whoa, what the heck's going on here, man?"
Yeah. Yep.
Did that give you any issues, or were you right in there on creating your new account and all that kind of stuff?
I created the new account the same day they let you. I had a lot of trouble. I couldn't post for like 3 days. Just
Oh, really?
kept giving me error messages. But I don't know what happened. Eventually, it just quit, and I haven't had any trouble since.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So I'm kind of excited to see like if it turns into anything, because I think I've gotten almost like 30,000 D.tube test coins. So I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't figured out yet if you get if those transfer into regular D.tube coins, or if it's everybody starts from scratch once the test net thing's done. But
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be a great. I'm writing it down for Crimson Clad's show. She's hanging out in the audience.
There you go.
But her show is right after mine, and she goes over everything that's Steam related, and and all that. So were you affected at all by this latest hard fork? Did that?
Other than I noticed my
slow you
payouts
down at all?
dropped quite a bit.
Yeah. So now they changed the economics, I guess. That's another question for Crimson Show, but the author rewards have gone down a little bit, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was it from 75% to 50% or something.
Right. Yeah. So they split it up. So now it's 50% for curation and 50% for the author. So
yeah.
So yep, we'll see how that all shakes out.
Yeah. But other than that, I really am into XRP, the cryptocurrency, and then like ADA. I think that's an interesting Cardano.
The Cardano.
Interesting concept. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that. I just, ever since Steam It and seeing a whole ecosystem and economy actually working, and like literally the first time I'm a silver stacker too. And so
me too.
Traded in. I was like, I'm going to see if this works. Like after I made that money from my dairy cow video. And so I took $100 of Steam, I transferred it to Bitcoin, and then I went to, I think it was AppMex, and I bought some silver, and it came to my house, and this is awesome.
Yeah, man.
It worked.
I'm a similar way. I did, what did I do? I did something similar, and I bought the little pre-1964 silver dimes.
There you go.
And stack some of those off of some of the crypto stuff. So yeah, it's awesome being able to go buy precious metals with cryptos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would much rather have some precious metals than fiat.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So you are a full-fledged prepper then, stacking silver off grid.
Yeah, man. I think probably back in 2009 is when I kind of solidified a vision for myself and what I wanted to do in the future, kind of my life. And I was really love growing food and gardening and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I've kind of seen where the direction of everything's kind of going. And so I've kind of looked into, what would be the solutions? And to me, it would be not being dependent on the system. So that's where I've pushed the direction of my life and where I'm going right now. And
that's cool.
We'll see.
Now, is this what you do full time?
Yeah, I'm doing this full time. I'm a full time homesteader right now, and cool. I sold my house. I sold a lot of my stuff, and so I'm full time homesteading right now, and working on prototypes for technologies and things like that, and looking to build like a prototype vending machine for homesteaders, which will be like a way to accept cryptocurrencies, and you can have like several little boxes that interact with a little Raspberry Pi computer. Yeah. And it will be able to, you have your selection of items that are in little like see-through boxes, and then a solenoid, it gets triggered when the payment process goes through. So that's something that's kind of like a little invention that I'm working on.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. So it's so one of those things, and then I'm working on actually doing some workshops and setting that up in the future, and doing a lot of online educational content, kind of around the whole resiliency stuff. A lot of the solar and those kind of things that I've been working on and learning with solar and aquaponics and some alternative growing techniques in permaculture and things like that. So that's where I'm going right now. I need to build a cabin to survive the winter. But winters aren't too bad in Alabama, so I think I'll be all right. That's my first priority. And like I said, I'm a guy with a lot of ideas, and sometimes it's tough for me to follow through on projects. But now that I'm actually, shivering or, sweating my butt off, that it makes it a little bit more urgent to get things done.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's one of my issues right now, is that I'm trying to build a little structure over my. Right now, I'm in a camper on the land, and it gets pretty hot during the day,
Yeah.
and but the way that my land is it's kind of goes down into a valley, so I can get some relief by going and hanging out and doing stuff in the shady areas during the day. And then going and back in the evening and getting a little bit of relief with the AC in the camper. But everything's tied into the solar, so I have to really manage my power. So that's one of the things I've been learning, is how to do the power management and how to figure out how long I can run my devices and things like that. So
now, do cloudy days really affect your energy output?
Yeah, they do, and I have a backup. I have a generator so that I can top off my battery system if it's prolonged cloudiness. But this week we had rain for a few days, and so it depleted the batteries pretty good. So I wasn't down there when the batteries went dead, but I would have had to have turned on that generator to replenish the batteries if I was there. So I've my parents aren't that far away. They're probably about 40 minutes away from my property. So I've kind of been going back and forth because I have a lot of stuff here too that I'm moving down there. So I'm taking trips of bringing resources down there and kind of back and forth right now. So, but yeah, it's going to be a long process, but I'm making, strides here.
One step at a time.
Yeah, one piece at a time, one day at a time. Just kind of trying to move forward, and that's all I can do, and just trying to move in a positive direction every day. So I just posted that Australian White USA here on the show, so you can have that link.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
And check that out. So, yeah, you're in the cryptocurrency space. Are you familiar with the pre-search search engine yet?
Pre-search? No, I'm not. I've used the Brave search browser, but I've never heard of pre-search.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's another way you can get cryptos. It's a search engine that you can start using, and you create an account with it, and then every time you do a search, you're collecting some of these pre-search tokens.
Cool.
And so it's just another way of earning some more cryptos.
Never a bad thing. So what cryptos are you into?
I come from the kind of the anarcho-capitalist side of things. So I'm really into Monero currently. As it's privacy centered is number one, and so it has similar economics to Bitcoin as well. So they've capped the number that'll be created, and so I really like that guy. And then Decred is a new project that a new crypto that I'm looking at. As it's got some of those similar features, and then there's a new one. It's a really small one called Aeon, but it's very difficult to use. But it has some good potential as far as the crypto, or as far as the privacy goes on that one. So it's an interesting one. It's still pretty new, and it's hard to get. It's hard to get your hands on, so I'm still trying to learn all that. But I got the wallet and kind of started piddling my way around in that one. But yeah, a lot of these, some of the more privacy-centered ones, they are more difficult to use than some of the Bitcoin, main Bitcoin, and all that. So but those are the ones I'm kind of interested in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So I've been looking into a lot of that stuff. So So do you have a proper wood shop? What all tools do you have for your carpentry and all that kind of stuff?
My dad, that's part of the reason we were able to start woodworking too. Is he did a lot of woodworking growing up and in his life, so he had all the tools and storage. So when he moved here, I have a bunch of tools to use. So he's got miter box saw, table saw, a shopsmith, planer, everything.
Oh yeah,
So,
man! You want to talk about that shopsmith? I got one of those. Those are
shopsmith.
It's
yeah.
like 5 different
Nope.
tools in one.
Oh yeah, nobody knows what they are.
Yeah,
That thing's awesome.
I only learned about it because my one of my old bosses was a carpenter, and he told me about it. I was like, so if there was one tool that you would get to get going on woodworking, what would it be? And he was like, I'd buy me a shopsmith. And so I was like, all right, cool.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think my dad's, he bought it like 1976, but the thing's a beast.
oh,
Everything
you got
still
one of
works
the
on
good
it. It's
ones,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, it weighs a ton. But
Yeah.
I use a joiner on it all the time. It's drill press, joiner, everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, lathe, the drill press, table
Yep.
saw. It could do all kinds of stuff. Cool. That's
So those are kind of I don't even call myself a woodworker because I don't, like, my dad, he can't stand helping me build stuff because he's like, where's your drawings? I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go along. What? What are the dimensions? I don't know. We just do what looks right. See what this piece of wood can make. So I just kind of mess around until something turns out right and then go with it.
Right on. Yeah, it's that's one of the things that I'm looking to get a proper wood shop set up. I've never had a garage or anything like that, so but I love, doing projects, so I'm that's going to be a very one of the things that I'm looking at is buying one of those Connex, one of those shipping containers, and setting up
There you go.
a proper shop with one of those.
Yeah. I think woodworking's so nice is like in a day you can create something and have a really good sense of accomplishment and it's useful. And
yeah,
like
absolutely.
with livestock, it can take a long time to see a result from it, but woodworking seems to be a lot faster, and I like that.
Yeah, man. Just watching everything that is involved with raising livestock, but the livestock become you become so attached to them too, don't you? Like it's kind of cool going out there and being like, I'm taking care of these guys over here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're a silver stacker as well, huh?
Yes. Yep. I started stacking silver probably about 6 years ago.
Cool. Yeah,
Yep.
it is one of the most undervalued assets that's out there, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the
So I'm
guys.
trying to
Go ahead.
No, you go for it.
So one of the guys I've come across, maybe you're familiar with him, is Chris Dwayne.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Are you familiar with him?
Oh yeah, I know Chris. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, he Silver Shield and buying his little mini mintage rounds.
Yeah. Some of those are beautiful.
They are, yeah, they are really amazing. So, he is very anti-crypto. I wish he wasn't.
Yeah, he doesn't like Bitcoin. He doesn't like anything.
Yeah, I know.
Other than hard asset.
Yeah. So he takes cash, and you can write him a check, or you can. I guess he just incorporated PayPal, but you can buy these mini mintages of silver that he does, which are about what everything that's going on in the world right now. He tries to do a kind of a commentary on the world on his silver coins, so that's why I really like him.
Yep, they're cool.
But I just dropped that link to that guy because I think that's a interesting thing if anybody wants to look into him.
That's cool.
Silver Shield is a really cool website and stuff. So, there's you have a post on training your children here. Now what is training your kids? Do you guys do kind of if your kid gets out of hand, like do you just like kind of explain to them what's going on, like just try to do something like that? Like how do you discipline your kids?
We're old school. We
Yeah.
discipline still. We want to get in trouble, correct them. We discipline them biblically, I guess I'd say.
Yeah.
But but the whole concept like behind that post was kind of like my soapbox for homeschooling. We had some conversation with friends, and like I think the society today, parents feel like you send your kids to school to get trained and how to be a outstanding citizen, and then you send your kids to church to learn about religion, and it's everybody else's responsibility to teach your kids and to train your kids but you.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, we take the exact opposite approach. That nobody else's responsibility to teach my kids anything but me and her.
Right.
And they're our responsibility. So that's kind of that video was just about, we train them. That's why we homeschool, because I'm going to send my kid to Rome for 10 hours a day and then expect them to come back and not act like a Roman. Well, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Our kids are our life. They're our central focus. That was a main driver for the lifestyle we have and what we do every day, to train our kids and teach them how to work, teach them about life.
Yeah.
About how to be self-reliant, self-sufficient, and how to help people, help your neighbors out, just be a good person.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. That's definitely, just like we were talking about earlier, just like you said, it's like if you go send your kids off to be taught by the Romans and you're going to expect them don't expect them to not be Roman. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that, do you think that the homeschool movement is kind of becoming a bigger thing? Is that you seeing more people kind of go in that direction, or with being in the homeschool community, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when I was younger, when I was being homeschooled, I remember like there was nobody around that was homeschooled.
Yeah.
And like we'd go to the grocery store and everybody like, why aren't you in school? Like, well, I'm homeschooled. And they're like, what? Like, it was just an odd thing. And like now, I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, little town in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we have this amazing homeschool co-op in the next town over. There's like 30 families, and we get together once a week, and the kids get to play, and just like-minded people getting together. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think more and more people are waking up to the fact, and I'm not sure what school systems are like in Alabama, but they're just not very good here in Kentucky.
Oh man. Yeah. I grew up in the public school system, and yeah, it was I was bored. I was really bored a lot of the time. So it's that's one of the big arguments they say is like you're not going to be socialized with people from all different walks of life, but that's not even true. It's
Absolutely.
It's like you go out into the world and you see people from all different walks of life. It's just it's your response. It's like you were saying earlier. It's your personal responsibility, and that I think people abdicate over for somebody else, but. It's just, everything, I think kind of everything in life, you get out what you put in. And so,
Yep.
So,
and what we found, like, okay, I can send my kids to public school and they'll be around my son, fifth graders all day, and a teacher, and he's around fifth graders. Well, my son now, he's around my wife and I. Thursday, goat day, we had some Amish friends that come help us. We have an old elderly neighbor that helps us. Yeah. And like they're interacting with all 5-year-olds all the way up to 75-year-olds.
Right.
That environment.
From every age group. Yeah.
Yeah. Learning from everybody there.
Right. And, right. Instead of just being around people their same age. Yeah.
Absolutely. In different cultures. I mean, like even just being around Amish, like they're amazing people and they do things different. I want my kids to see that side of the world and how people live differently than they do.
Right.
And if they go to school, I mean, they're going to be around their peers. That's about it.
Right. Yeah, that is another thing, is that you're not hanging around this people of the same age group as an adult. And so why would you even expect your kids to do that? They're not gaining as much information, like you said. Like, kind of back in back in time, everybody was living in villages, and then everybody's interacting with each other all the time. So it's like you're really gaining a lot from other people in that regard, and actually living more like you would as an adult.
Yeah, I think so too. And we're not mean. Our kids have friends, and they go over to friends' houses. Like, they have friends their own age. It's not like we can't hang out with kids your age.
Yeah. Well, I guess it'd be kind of tough too, right? You kind of have to plan out if they're going to go over to somebody's place, because you guys, I guess you're not. You said you're in a really small town. People are like separated out too, so it's not like they can go hang out with Johnny down the road or whatever. Yeah,
it's not like they just ride their bike to their friends. No. Yeah. You gotta kind of be a little more organized and plan ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of similar for me when I was growing up. We had to go bike, but it was like all county roads, so it's like I could bike to my buddy's house, but it was like 10 miles down the road or whatever. So we got some exercise doing that sometimes. But
there you go.
But I loved it, man. I loved growing up and being out in the woods, and one of my earliest memories was going out in the woods with my older brother and him taking me on an adventure through the woods. And it's pretty magical when you're a kid, especially when you're seeing everything so huge, and you're going out and checking out all the animals that are living in the creeks and and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun when you're a kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you got your wife is also here on Steam It, right? And she is farmer's wife.
Yep. She's been my one failure in the Steam world.
Oh no.
she gave up on me. She was rocking it.
Yeah.
Making D.tube videos, and then one day she said she's just too busy.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
So I couldn't keep her going.
Yeah, but she was doing the video stuff of just like all the different crafts and different things that she was up to.
Yeah, yep. She did a lot of cooking recipes, and she's real big into making like your own soaps and your own cleaners and that kind of stuff, and shampoos and stuff. So she would always make tutorials on.
Yeah. So are you guys still doing all that stuff, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, we were just talking the other day. We don't really use anything commercial anymore, as far as like in our daily lives. We try to eat just produce and no refined foods, and even our soap and stuff's all made now, and shampoo, essential oils for everything. And
wow, so are you guys growing pretty much most of your diet on the land there?
We are not. We're learning to be better gardeners.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. But
yeah.
We were a part of a CSA for a local lady up the road, and so we get all her produce once a week.
Oh,
and then
cool.
We also have an Amish family that's about 2 miles away, and they have the most amazing produce that they sell from their farm.
Oh,
so we go there once a week and buy fruits and vegetables from them.
Nice.
Yep.
So with processing, so I guess you're doing all your laundry detergents and your soaps and all that stuff. Just with the raw ingredients and things like that.
Yeah, to be 100% honest, I watch her do it, but I have no idea what she makes it out of. I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
She's
amazing.
Into all that.
Yeah, because so I'm guessing she uses a lot of those essential oils and things and that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, those are pretty amazing. So
yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. Do you guys have any fruit or nut trees or anything on the property? I know you said walnuts, but
walnuts. We have all the walnuts we could ever eat, and then the pawpaw trees, and then just a lot of raspberries and wild onion, wild garlic, that kind of stuff. More just foraging stuff as opposed to actual orchards of anything.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I know on the Homesteaders Co-op. Are you familiar with that site?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know that they love the homemade goods and all that kind of stuff. If you're ever interested in getting a shop set up there.
Yeah, I know. Yep. She's bought. We traded L&L Farms. She's on Steam It. I think she changed her name though.
Yeah, she's
Justine or something.
She changed it
Yeah.
to her real name. Yeah.
Yeah, but we would. I think she helped my wife out a lot. Like she would. We'd buy deodorant and stuff from her, and she gave my wife the recipe.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
We've done a lot with her. She's real nice lady.
Yeah. She's working with Steam Peak now. I saw.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. It's so cool how you is there like a group on Steemit that you're actively involved with, or are you kind of like just kind of meet one-on-one with people and kind of interact that way, or?
Mostly just meeting one-on-one, and then like the Yeti, we text and FaceTime each other now. His wife and my wife talk a lot.
Yeah.
And then Captain Bob, I don't know if you ever run across him.
No, I haven't run across Captain Bob yet.
He's just a real cool guy. He does a lot of photography stuff.
Uh-huh.
He came out to the farm and spent a day with us, and just kind of cultivating relationships like that. It's just been just more just friendships than anything.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check out Captain Bob. That's a good
Yeah,
name.
he's a great guy. Yeah.
Does he look like a pirate?
No, he doesn't. So.
Nice.
Yeah, his name's not Bob either. I don't know if we want to tell you his name, so it's funny because his name's not Bob.
We had a guy that we grew up with, and his name's not Bob, but everybody calls him Bob now because when he moved to the area, he was getting asked his name so many times, and he just started telling people it was Bob, and so it stuck with him.
That's funny.
Yeah. So you said you were talking about your cows are like a specific breed of cattle that work really good in your area, I guess.
Yeah, the South Pole cattle is the name of the breed.
Uh-huh.
And it's that Ted Gentry, who's the guitar player for Alabama.
Uh-huh.
He actually started the herd in the 1970s.
Okay.
And I think it was in the 1990s it officially became a breed.
Uh-huh.
And they're real big in Alabama and Missouri. The cattle do really well on fescue, and they don't mind the heat as bad.
Oh,
and so
all right.
It was about 7 years ago when we bought our first cow, South Pole cow.
Yeah.
And we're up to we run 100 cows on the farm, mama cows, and we're up to about 20 registered South Poles.
Oh wow. Okay.
So eventually, there's just not very many of them, and they're real expensive. So
yeah.
Eventually, the goal is to have a herd of all South Poles. But last 3 years we've only used South Pole.
Now, so South Pole, like Antarctica South Pole?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, sorry, South, and then Poll.
Poll? Okay.
Yep. South Pole.
Oh, interesting. So do you guys? I guess you guys do all the raw milk and everything too, then, huh?
Yeah. Just for our family. Again, that's how the rules.
You're not renting out any cows.
Nope, not renting out any cows.
Oh man.
No.
Yeah, I love that.
In the state of Kentucky, you can sell it as pet food.
Oh, really?
Raw milk, but you can't sell it for human consumption.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but we just have one Jersey, and she's just our family cow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so you guys you took that one vacation to Hawaii, but do you guys like to do other like camping trips and things like that as a family?
Yeah, we love to travel as a family. We're actually after fall calving season, we're gonna go down to the Gulf Coast, in Destin, Florida.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're gonna go down there for I think it's 3 days, and so we try to
Nice.
time our little trips around the livestock when the workload's not too much. But yeah,
Right.
we like to get out as much as we can. Got to
Cool.
sell some more furniture.
Yeah. So is the beach a favorite location for your family?
That's my wife's, so that's
Yeah.
usually where we end up going. Got to keep her happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool. Cool. So do you guys do you get to do like any fishing or anything while you're down there, or do you guys just go hang out at the beach?
Usually we just hang out at the beach.
Yeah.
Although my middle son, he's becoming quite the fisherman, so I might try to surprise him, take him out in the ocean. We'll see.
Oh man, that would be cool.
Yeah, he's just this year he's really started to really catch on to fishing and loving it.
Yeah. So you said you were originally from Illinois, right?
My wife is
Indiana?
Illinois. I'm from
Okay.
Indiana. Yep.
Okay. So do you guys still have family up there, or have they
I
kind
don't
of
have-
moved around?
I think all my close families. I think I have one grandparent that's still in Indiana, and everybody else is kind of spread out.
Yeah.
And then all of my wife's family literally lives within 3 blocks of each other in Illinois.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So it was a big deal when she left. And she's the baby.
Oh really? Yeah.
So I'm the black sheep.
Oh okay. Yeah. So it's a pretty tight knit family. Everybody's got a house close to each other and stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was similar to actually my mom is one of 12, and
Oh wow.
yeah, and they all kind of stayed in that same little town there in Michigan, and
Okay.
she was one of the ones that that moved away. So yeah, so yeah, that's so are you guys
Have you been in Alabama then your whole life?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Alabama, and
Okay.
so I always talked a little funny though.
Had that northern accent.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird mishmash between the north and the south accent kind of thing. So, I just cut the G off of everything, most of the time, and it depends on who I'm talking to too. So
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of the same for you and being in Kentucky, huh?
Oh yeah, everybody's like, "You're not from around here."
Boy, you
No.
ain't from around here, are you? Yeah. So
Well,
yeah.
have you ever watched the show The Cowboy Way
Uh-huh.
from Alabama? Cowboy Way, Alabama.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen that? My wife just told me to ask you that.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out.
I think it was on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
They had it. Yeah,
I'm writing it down. The Cowboy Way.
yeah. It was about 3 Alabama cowboys. It was hilarious.
Free Alabama Cowboys?
3.
Oh, 3 Alabama Cowboys. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, you come across some people. I was Huntsville's not too far away from where I grew up, which is like one of the places where they do all the rocket engineering and everything like that. So that's kind of the culture that I grew up around here, but it's not typical of Alabama. Huntsville is a very anomaly in the rest of Alabama, and so it's sometimes it is difficult to talk to some people because the accent is super thick, man. Some people do have a super thick accent, and it is one of those like if you remember Waterboy and talking to the one of the guys on there. I can't remember what the character's name is, but it's like Edgayono, something like that. And sometimes it is difficult to understand what people are saying, but well, yeah, man, it's there's some great people in Alabama. It's really very laid back culture, I guess, and there are some really awesome people. My neighbors that I moved down to this property. It's in it's in a little town called Crane Hill, and my neighbors are really awesome people, and
That's awesome.
kind of just bend over to help you, and they've been out there helping me with projects whenever I'm down there, cutting down trees or whatever. They're coming over and helping. Their kids want to help all the time, and
Aw.
and they got little kids, and it's just like I really don't want to be responsible, for the kids, and so I told them, I was like, all right, guys, if you want to come help, I really want your parents to be over here because like I can't really watch them, and because I got a lot of kind of dangerous stuff that's going on, so.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm not I've never been really a babysitter either, so I really don't know how to make sure that they're being safe and stuff like that. I guess it's just like, hey man, I can't really tell them anything either, so because I'm not their parent, so it's just like,
Yeah.
hey guys, I'm using a chainsaw, so you guys should probably hang out over there. But yeah, they are really great people, and their dog loves me too. So one of their dogs, I was out there cooking up some breakfast, some bacon and eggs, and then the dog comes over, and I gave the dog a little bit of food from my bacon and eggs, and now it's my friend forever, I guess.
He's your lifelong buddy.
Yeah. So first time I came up to their house, it was a big old German Shepherd, but it was a little intimidating, but it's just a sweetheart. It's just it's a nice dog. So I was thinking about getting a dog, and I might not need one because the neighbor's dog is my buddy now.
There you go. That's the best kind. You send it back home. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. But yeah, do you guys have any pets of your cats and dogs and stuff?
We have barn cats for mice patrol.
Yeah.
And then we have a family dog. It's a Bernese Mountain Dog.
Oh, okay.
She's a beautiful dog, and she's not inside dog, but she's around our house.
So is that kind of like a Great Pyrenees, or is it something like
similar
that?
very, very similar. The colorings, it's all black with white and brown accents.
Okay.
But about not quite as big as the Great Pyrenees, but similar.
Yeah. How do you keep it from eating your animals?
She does great with the cattle and goats. The chickens tempt her every once in a while. She doesn't really eat them, but like if a chicken gets out into the yard, she likes to chase it.
Yeah.
But she's been pretty good. And then we have Great Pyrenees that live with the goat.
Okay. Yeah, so are there any special tricks on training a dog to be cool with the livestock? Do you have to raise him as a puppy for being around him?
From how we did it, done it good and we've done it bad. We got Great Pyrenees pups, and we played with them and kept them by the house till we felt like they were big enough to go out with the goats.
Yeah.
And that was a disaster because then all it wants to do is come up and play with the kids. Mm-hmm. Doesn't want to stay out and watch the goats. So what we found works best is we just use cattle panels and put a little dog house in there and made it big enough so that goats could graze in it. Threw goats in there with the puppy. And then he lived in the field. We just moved it around following the goats.
So he just thought he was a goat.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'd feed him every day and pet him a little bit, but we didn't want to socialize him too much. And still to this day, they come up because they know you're going to feed them. And then you feed them, and you can touch them and pet them, but then they go right back to being with the goats and watching the goats.
Okay, so they kind of just have that instinctual protection thing for the goats since they kind of bond with them, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. The bonding thing, the problem with the one we kept at the house is he bonded with my kids.
Okay.
And he would have died for the kids. He'd have done anything for them, but he didn't care about a goat. Coyotes eating a goat, have fun.
Right.
He didn't care. So
that's the thing that's you gotta make sure they bond, I guess. So
yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Breeze, I guess, posted a picture. Is that what your dog looks like? The mountain dog? Is it? I don't know if you can see the chat room there.
My phone's not letting me see the chat.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's she said she wants one. She wants.
We're actually having
she wants a
puppies.
puppy.
So
Oh,
ship
there
it
you
to South
go.
Africa.
Ship the dog to South Africa.
I'm not sure what the laws are.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know if that'll work out. I don't know how that operation works. How do people travel overseas with their dogs? Do they put them in like a crate or something like that?
All I know is in the Air Force, when people would go to different Air Force bases, you're allowed to take your pets.
Yeah.
But like when they went to Germany or Japan, they had to be in quarantine for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
So I don't know all the rules.
I know some people, if you can have your dog be a service animal, that they allow them to be with you on the airplane.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's the trick, just buying that little vest, stick it on it.
There you go. Well, Breeze says she'll trade you for Jack Russell puppies, so he'll have to do some puppy dealing.
There we go. We can do bartering.
Cool. Yeah. So Peachy says she was able to bring her cat on the plane with a carrier. So there's ways you can get around it. Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. So we're coming up on the end of the show. Bowen, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It was great having a conversation with you, and you're welcome back anytime, brother. And if there's anything that you'd like to leave the audience, I'll give you the last word here.
The final word?
Yeah.
Okay. You are an amazing interviewer. You have a real gift.
Oh, thank you,
Keep up
brother.
the good work, Greg. I think we've been on, 2 hours? Like 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate that a lot.
Appreciate you very much. Thanks for having me on. And I think just for me, I never imagined I could have the life I have now. You always dreamt of it. But it takes a lot of work, and just make goals and keep pursuing your dreams, and eventually you're going to get there. So
that's a great thing to leave on. Thank you so much, brother. And everybody, stay tuned. Up next, we have Crimson Clad and Steamwave Saturday, where you can ask all of the questions that you have boiling in your mind, like the DTC. What's going on with that? You can ask those next for Crimson Clad Steamwave Saturday. So hang out for that. As always, I really appreciate everybody that comes and hangs out for the show. Shout out to everybody that was hanging out today. Breeze, we got Crimson Clad that's getting ready for his show. Peachy Mod, Rondon, Soundwaves, Photon. Thanks for being here. Steam Streams, just showing up for the end part here, and the Kitty Girl, and then we had Solo Miner earlier. So, guys, thank you so much for joining. We'll be back next week with another Meadows and Makers podcast. And if y'all have anybody that you'd like to hear from or comments about the show, please send them my way and make a comment on the show recording, which will be up later this evening. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week. And this is Awake by Divine and Junk Feathers to play us out. Thank you so much.